You know, that's how you know. That is how you know you're at the show.
That's right.
Hanging with the homeboys, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what we do. We start out, we say we are hanging
with the homeboys.
And welcome, everybody. We're here on October 30th. It's 9:15 in the morning. Yeah. We're kind of warming up for Halloween stuff. I'm warming up every morning when we get going. Let me take a sip of water here.
That's right. And I am warming up for the big storm that we've got coming around here tonight. Ooh. Big storm. One of our local weather celebrities came on last night live in the middle of the night to talk about something that's not even going to be happening until the day. He had his suspenders on. He had a little sweater on the brow. Things are getting serious around here today, and I am all for the preparation.
October 30th tornadoes?
Seems a little weird, huh?
Is that a thing? Like, I mean, this is a thing that we think about in the springtime usually, yes, right? Everything's green. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of a tornado with a bunch of, you know, yellow and red leaves flying around in it. Have you? That's not an image. Oh, I gotta, okay.
Yeah, and it turns out that, it's an energy thing. It really comes down to the fact that it's just way hotter and drier here in October than it should be. And, you know, these types of storms that produce high winds and tornadoes, they need actual energy in the form of heat. And we have had winds blowing directly from the south for the past 2 days, nonstop. My parents don't even have trees at their house at all, and you would think that they had 4 of them because there's so many leaves that have blown from other places on their street into their yard. I mean, the wind has been incessant.
Let me remind you that we are in Northeast Kansas. That's right. You know, like this is the part of the country where it could be snowing right now. Like we could actually, it's snowed on Halloween before.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a regular thing. We should be probably 50 to 70 degrees every day, like during the day right now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And
it's been 85.
Exactly. My grass can tell, but I won't get going on that because we could take the whole show up on that.
In the morning, we were going to go walking, like we were going to go walk around the lake.
Not today.
No, seriously, I opened the door, let the dogs out, and I get hit with hot wind. And I'm very confused, and I go back to bed like, babe, I don't know if we're not going to be cold, I don't think. We might be hot, but we might get blown in the lake.
Yeah, you might end up with a stick in your mouth. I mean, it literally.
This is true. I was walking yesterday, and I got hit in the eye with sand or something. I was thinking, like, no wonder that they wear, you have to wear safety goggles and, like, when you're around the desert and that kind of thing. But what we want to talk about is the tornado part, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've already talked about how, as a child, I was fearful of tornadoes, and we've had bigger versions of tornadoes in the southeast of the United States. We've had hurricanes, but tornadoes are very different. It is a very focused type of storm that could touch down and, hit 5 houses or 30 houses, maybe 150 houses. In Topeka in 1966, we had a tornado that came through the city. I think it was on the ground for 30 minutes to an hour, maybe. And it was a mile wide. And that I was in a presentation about our city 2 weeks ago, and that was a main focus of the presentation was the destruction from the tornado and actually even partially how it revitalized our town.
Wow.
But that's not how we think about a tornado. We think about disaster, we think about destruction, and we think about fear, right? I mean,
100%. I mean, being a Topeka native, that specific tornado that is burned into the minds of our parents and our parents' parents, the legends of that, it's the number one reason that so many people in our town will not live in a place that doesn't have a storm shelter or a basement. And we're talking about something that happened 60 years ago. We just celebrated the 60-year anniversary of it, and it is something that gets brought up every single year on our local Topeka History Geeks Facebook page. Check it out. And I just love hearing all the stories of people who, when they were little kids and this happening and the community coming together and all the people coming and helping, sort through the rubble. And then also from what we do as real estate agents, you can tell there's parts of town where the houses were built 1910, 1920, and then all of a sudden there's this random newer house in a neighborhood. You could probably trace it back to tornado destruction.
Oh, yeah.
Where people were rebuilding.
So in that presentation, they said that you can see on an aerial map, if you look at Topeka, Kansas, you can see the vegetation. The difference in the trees, you can see the path for how big the trees are or small the trees are. I need to look at it. Yeah, you need to check it out.
You didn't invite me to this?
I did invite you. It was Topeka Mosaic. Topeka Mosaic through Topeka United, and you need to join and participate in Topeka's diversity.
You all right? You have invited me to
now
Mosaic.
You're in. He's joining. Karen Hiller. Chris Glenn is in.
Yeah, I just felt like, it was I thought it was a DEI thing. I'm brown. I should be in Mosaic. And I was scared. I was resistant.
It's an everybody thing. It's a United Topeka thing, Topeka United thing. But what we're talking about is houses, right? That's why we're here. And it's very interesting that is a real thing. Like when people come in from out of town and they're looking at houses, they're from Texas or they're from, Oklahoma. I don't know if y'all have, if they have basements, if y'all have basements down there or not.
Really.
Texas, they don't really. They do have tornadoes. Oklahoma has tornadoes. They don't really, it has to do with the ground. Topeka, we have a lot of wet basements. We have people love basements here no matter what, and they always will because of that. But when people come out of town, they're like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would take a basement. I don't have to have one. You experienced that too with buyers?
Yes, yeah. It's definitely a regional thing for sure. The people from around here, and especially, I say it, I can't stress this enough. It's people of a certain age. There are people who are our age or younger who haven't really heard the stories of the destruction, and they're like, if I get one, I get one. But goes back to what I say. You cannot unknow what you know to be true. And the people that know the destruction of a tornado, they really, really are serious about that kind of stuff.
Also, if you hop over 20 minutes to Lawrence. It's a college town, so that's a little different. That's a town of I want to say like 70,000 maybe, and then when the students go away, it shrinks down to maybe 30. I could be off. Let's say plus or minus 30,000 on those numbers right there for the total size of Lawrence. But when you shop there, there's a lot of houses that don't have basements, and they could just be building them that way because it's cheaper for rental properties, and college students aren't needing basements in the same way. They don't have storage. Or again, it could be that thing that Topeka has got to have them mentally, because that 66 tornado, most of the houses, especially where we're sitting right now, in southwest Topeka and southeast Topeka even, most of the houses were built after that tornado. So they were built with those basements, probably because of that mentality, that huge disaster that happened. And it's burned into people's life experiences. And I was just going to mention that I have actually taken a family. I took Daphne and Nick's family, Daphne's mom, and her sisters back to a house on top of Burnett's Mound, or right off of Burnett's Mound, that they lived in at the time of the tornado.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think the whole thing was taken.
You took them, they got to tour the house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because it came on the market, I think they told, they were thinking about buying it as an investment property or something. And we all went back and they walked around. They're like, oh, yeah, the house was broken off right here. This part was gone. This is new parts of foundation. So a lot of stuff also was rebuilt or built back onto in a different way, I think.
Right. Wow.
Well, so hopefully we don't have any tornadoes like that today. I did find shingles in my yard.
At my rental property, the Airbnb, the latest one that we have, my blue cover that I have over the patio area, first of all, whoever installed that thing must have really done a great job, because I couldn't believe that it didn't just rip apart from itself.
Did you install it?
It was me. Over 24 hours of constant wind. But I took that down yesterday, and I took all of the
smart
outdoor furniture cushions and put them in their containers. Yes, there too was a 3-tab shingle inside the yard over there. So and that's that I have an aging roof on that house too. It's the OG roof from 2006 when the house was built.
Yeah,
we've had some shingles blow off. I've just been kind of patching here, patching there. So we'll stay tuned on that.
One of the biggest things that you have to worry about with an aged roof is wind.
Yes.
Like when the wind blows, if your roof is 13 years or older, then you might that's probably a good thing for you. If you're lucky, you could have a lot of wind damage.
Talk to me.
And then end up getting a new roof.
Talk to me, Luke.
Yeah. So I guess good luck for slightly damaging
That's right.
winds on that house that you have.
It
right
would
there.
be a really, yeah. We'll talk about that if that happens. But we're talking in a few hours is when the actual warning is supposed to happen. It's going to be from 3 o'clock till about 10. They think our area specifically is going to get hit the hardest around 7 or 8. We're talking hail. We're talking damaging winds, and hopefully no touchdowns of any kind except for Thursday night football. And it's Wednesday.
Let's post this today, Neil. That way, in case we could save some lives this evening. Chances are we'll post this not because of anything that Neil's doing wrong, but we'll probably post this in December. So Merry Christmas. That's right. But also, if your roof is leaking, just always know you can reach out to us. We're going to be in contact with our roofer here pretty soon, and they always like us to send them some work. So another thing you can do with the wind is you can float on it.
Is that right?
Yeah, like a kite floats on the wind, or like a hovercraft floats on wind.
Okay.
But what I mean to talk about is floating your interest rate.
Oh.
Tell me what you know about floating your interest rate, just for fun.
Well, it's like gambling.
Yep.
Okay. At the time of originating a loan or getting pre-approved for a loan, you're going to get quoted an interest rate. And that's the rate that they believe they can lock in on that day if need be. But the truth of the matter is that rate in real life does not need to be locked in until the loan actually begins, until the closing. So that 30, 45 days between going under contract and actually getting to the closing day, there could be some stuff that happens in the market to make that rate change. So the timing in which you lock in the rate is very critical. And in some cases, it makes sense to lock in the rate as soon as possible because we have information, we have a gut feeling, everybody's talking that rates could be on the increase within literal weeks, if not days. So you got to lock it in right now. And then there's times where people have information that may believe that the rates are going to actually go down. So we better don't lock it in. Let's just wait and keep waiting until we get closer to that closing day. And then when I say shoot, that's when you shoot and we lock it in then. But the information could be wrong. You thought it was going to go down and then it goes up and everybody's like, well, enjoy your higher payment.
The thing that they say about interest rates is that we never know what the information, like how correct it is. How do we know like what's going to happen? So who we were talking to is buyers, right? Like this is primarily for buyers. That's when you have a chance to float your rate and wait and see if you can get a better interest rate that's going to change your monthly payment and change the amount of interest that you pay over the life of the loan. So buyers, think about that. Agents, be careful thinking too much, man. On floating the interest rate, I made the mistake of thinking that the interest rates were going to continue going down, just like we've been hearing. It has been predicted as the yield curve and whatnot indicates is going to happen. The rates had gone down. My buyer works at a financial type of institution, and with that, I gave her some information.
Yeah.
I didn't say you should float your rate. Do not say that.
Yeah, you showed her a play in the playbook. You didn't necessarily say this is what we got to run right now.
Only because it was safe for those reasons. And even though it was safe, I was still burned. I even asked the loan officer, I said, what do you think? Do you think she should float the rate? And that my very great customer service lender said, I don't know. I don't really give advice like that. What I'm saying, agents, is it's very dangerous to give this advice. And again, I didn't tell her to. What I said is, I think you should talk to some of your friends. I think you should talk to some of your financial people at the office, and you should decide whether you might want to try floating your rate for a week or so. The rates are lower than they've been for 6 months right now, but they might go lower, and it could save you some money. A week later, they're up.
And here's the thing, guys, just to defend Luke, just for a quick recap on what was happening with the rates. Rates hit historic highs, and then we knew that the Fed was going to have a meeting on a certain date, and we knew what data they were going to be considering, and we had information that said that they were going to lower the rate that they extended to the banks on a specific day. In anticipation of that day, the banks, who are also floating rates all the time, right? It's okay for a bank to anticipate that the rates are going to go lower and start selling those new rates today. So we're thinking, well, my goodness, if anticipation of this news is going to make the rates go down, the actual news happening might continue to trend. I mean, nobody that didn't seem crazy.
And of course, because they even said that once they cut, then they're going to cut again, and then they're going to cut again, and possibly even cut again, like going into the future.
But what happened was they cut the rate in anticipation of the day. The day came, the rates were actually cut, and then the base rate that they were selling to, everybody's went up. Like literally a day after the announcement, and every loan officer's just like, I don't know what happened.
If you're watching, you just saw me laughing and my own despair, really, because I felt terrible when I found out that her payment is about $100 higher per month. It costs that much to float it. So the thing is, I think the advice with floating your rate is if you already have a good deal on your interest rate, which would be 6% or 6.1 or something like that right now, just take it. Just lock it, because today, when we get into the homeology portion, after we get out of this home field advantage portion, we'll tell you what the rate is today.
There you go.
It's that simple. I gave her a home field disadvantage. Now, by talking to me.
You gave her an option. You told you hedged your bets. You told her to talk to other people. Don't take it all on the chin. It's up to us to let people know what's possible.
Would you have floated your rate that day?
Probably.
I would have floated my rate that day too.
I would have.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the risk to even tell her that was a possibility. And I wouldn't just tell that to, just a person that doesn't have anybody to talk to other than me. I knew that she had other people to talk to. So
that's a good one.
All right. Well, thanks for riding that roller coaster with us. We're here with homeology, where we talk about a little bit of the math and science of real estate.
That's right. Scientific.
A lot of that is stats. And I will say that I lately have not been looking at the stats as much. I had a few repair negotiations going on, and because I've felt a little bit buried and haven't looked at the stats, I'm feeling a little bit lost, a little,
Okay.
a little flustered. Maybe the stats are my map, or they're like my signpost that make me feel like I know what I'm talking about and what I'm doing,
Well,
so I'm a little shaken.
I get it. You're a guy you're a scientific dude,
Yeah.
We have our feelings and our notions, but we like to be backed up by the stuff that's actually happening in real life. Mm-hmm. And we compare what we think is going on with what is actually going on all the time. And it helps temper ourselves. It either shows us that we're on the right hunch, and our years of experience have led us to being able to make these hunches be correct. And then every once in a while, there's something that happens that puts us in check and goes, wow, I thought I had a hold on what was going on in this particular price range, or blah, blah, blah. And I really don't. And when that's a core part of your identity, you're one phone call away of being exposed, where somebody starts hitting you, it's the ghost of Alex Trebek calling you with all these, these questions, and you're like, and that's what's making you feel a little bit off balance, because you don't have every weapon that you normally do in the belt. And you're on a battlefield that battle may happen at any moment.
My weapons are old, my weapons are dull. They need to be sharpened for this part of the battle, this part of the war. And actually, this is a very tumultuous time too, So I guess the lesson is that when you are in tumultuous times and you're an according to type of guy that likes to refer to other sources of information and build on those, then make sure that you have those other sources of information. If it's tumultuous, pay attention to everything, because that's going to prepare you even better and sharpen your dagger, sword.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, pin.
Yeah.
Pinpoint.
That's right.
What's the sharpest thing in the world? It's one of us, probably. We go sharp.
No, man, that makes a lot of sense, though, man. And, I've been there. Sometimes when I feel like that, to make myself feel better, I'll pull up the hot sheet, which is basically any type of change in our real estate market at all, whether it's a listing being withdrawn, a listing having a price change, a listing being sold or under contract. I'll look at like the entire last week, and sometimes it'll be 500 listings that have some type of update for me to just peruse through. Yeah. But spending that 10, 15 minutes perusing through those listings gives me an eye. Oh, wow, they finally did sell that house that's been on the market for blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, wow, that's an interesting price on that house, And I find myself screenshotting things in there and sending them to local agents and saying, man, good job on getting this one closed, or good job getting a buyer on this one, And that makes me feel like I have a little bit more of a pulse. It's not raw data, but it's something that gives you an idea of, the notion of what's going on.
So you're looking at the hot sheet and you're getting familiar with what's going on in the market in real time. That day, you're looking at that evidence. You probably have a good feel for the value out there. You've probably been inside a lot of those houses from showing them. Yeah. I'm feeling some pressure, I think, because I also have like 3, maybe 4 listings that are going to hit pretty soon that are like 3 to 400,000, 3 to 450,000 right now.
Luke,
well, yeah,
that ain't the price range.
I know.
Right now. See, the data is telling us.
That's what I'm saying. Wait. Well, I can't because the relocation. One of them is relocation. So that means that somebody has to move.
Yeah.
Right. They're moving out of town. Their company is moving them. We have to do it now. With relocation, a person can move because they're getting a package from their employer that's making them move, and they don't have to sell their house. They don't have to sell their house first. They just go buy the next one, and then the relocation company owns the house and they sell the house. Well, if it's vacant, you sell it. I mean, that's a rule. You don't take a vacant house and wait until February or March to put it on the market. So I'm being pressed by some corporate entities, to give them a marketing strategy and evaluation for these properties that are in the toughest part of our market right now.
It is the toughest part of our market because to me, in our market, once you hit 300, 350, 400,000, it's like 95% of the people looking in that market already have a house and a low interest rate, guys. Yeah. But once you go above it, once you get $500,000 or more, you're getting to the kind of money to where it's like we do what we want when we want to do it anyway, because that's how we feel. We may have cash or it's no big deal, but that just making it to the second house, people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that would tell them that they should not buy right now.
Are you in my head, man? Are you you hitting threes? Is this how you do it? This is how the young kids do it when they drop those bombs from far away, right? Or they shoot the arrow. Is that what they do? I wish I could have done that at Topeka High. But you just talked about another scenario that I have going on right now because I have a client that they found the perfect house that they wanted. It's one of the most expensive listings that I helped them buy ever. She's a doctor, and they bought it. Right? They just bought it. No matter what. Doesn't matter. Timing doesn't matter. Anyway, we just want it now. So, but now their house goes on the market. And now it's another one that's vacant. And that's another one that we can't wait. And it's also in that price range, So what I'm saying is those are the people that aren't sensitive to the interest rate. That's what they bought into. That's why they bought, and then they're leaving a house that's in the price range where all the buyers are sensitive to that interest rate. They have a house already at a lower interest rate. They're economically savvy, so they're looking at the rates, thinking that they're going to wait. Plus, the election is next week. It's Tuesday. What the heck is going to happen then, man? Is it all just going to get crazy?
Will this episode ever end?
There may be no internet any longer.
If you listen to either side, this is the election of our lifetime, and
So will we talk about the interest rates being 6.791% next Wednesday? Will they drop? Will somebody, whoever win, that's going to influence the side that makes the interest rates drop? Will they drop? The thing also, the other part about the interest rates is when they go up, isn't it supposed to be like inverse to what the economy is doing?
Kinda, yeah.
Like that was the whole point. Let's stifle the economy a little bit by keeping the interest rates high. And then when the economy is stifled some, then we can lower the interest rate.
Here's the thing,
right?
Luke. Here's the deal, Luke. What we are really learning is that the health of our stock market does not equal the health of our economy. Man. We got to stop thinking that just because stock market numbers are jumping through the roof and they're doing things we never... Yeah, that means corporations are doing well, but the everyman, the guy down on the street, how easy is it for him to get a job that actually pays enough money that's going to support that person's family? That's what we're talking about, and there's a lot of people that are hurting in that regard, and so it is weird. But when it comes to conspiracy theories... The conspiracy theorists would have said that we're leading up to the election and Joe Biden who controls everything,
Man, that man
is gonna make rates so low that we have no choice but to reelect him.
Right.
And then the complete opposite. No, they dipped down for about 8 days and then came up to a rate that was higher than it was before they even dipped. So what are we even talking about? You know, obviously every conspiracy theory that you hear from your uncle at Thanksgiving ain't real, and this is living proof.
I had to go vote already, dude. Did you vote?
I'm going this week. I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting till
just
the day.
Go, man. Like I went to the election office. Yeah, right. I should have went over and had a burrito at El Ranchito right afterwards, you know. But I just drove up. I mean, I parked right in front, and then I saw the like elderly people walking up from far away, and I was like, oh man, I should have parked far away, you know. But then I got inside and everybody was spry, dude. Everybody, it wasn't lined out the door, but people buzzing around, moving papers around. Everybody was smiling, like people were shaking hands, and it felt good. And I've ran into a client. You can network at the election office. And when I left, I felt good, man. I felt a weight lifted off of me.
And you want to know what else I always find so beautiful at those places?
What's that?
Is the amount of people volunteering their time to coordinate, and listen, they're all retired.
Yeah,
that's the word I'm going to use.
Yes,
and I love those people because the word you used, spry and energetic.
Yeah,
not normally the word you use with retired folks, but it just shows you that if you stay active, you volunteer your time, and you are passionate about stuff. You don't got to get old. The age might come on you, but you don't got to feel old. You can really make an impact out here, and that's something I take away. I just love those people.
I've always wondered who was working in the election office, like in my neighborhood, you know, or like not the election office, but the polling place. And actually, it's the same people now that you think about it,
right? Because
they're working in there. They're all building the energy. They're learning what they're doing. I've also wondered, like, how can they know what they're doing on the day of the election? Like, it's not, you know, it could be inconsistent. They're practicing. They're in the election center practicing right now, and then they close it the day of the election, and then they all go out and they do the same thing in their precinct.
Come on, and listen, and it's no wonder why it is very deeply offensive to normal people on the ground when somebody in a high position says that, you know, these things are rigged, and you know, there are people volunteering their time and to try to put them in with some global conspiracy to defraud one person over another is something that really, really burns me up. So we got to be careful the words we use when we talk about our government is this and do you realize that 99% of our government is people just like us? Mm-hmm. We live in a town with a downtown.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're in a capital city. We know how many thousands of people pour in and pour out to make our government, you know, run. And just because they're politicians who get to be the voice of parts of the government, our government is us. So that's why I don't like language that vilifies an entire group of people or tries to question the competence of a group of people when you're just somebody and you're somebody in the stands, and the man in the arena is the one actually having to do the tough stuff.
Where do you think the evil ones are living, you know, that are in our deep state, like in our government, you know? Are they under the White House? Are they deep under the ground, you know? Are they living in caves somewhere, or like
gotta be?
Or are they living up high in the sky, man? Like it's pie in the sky high, you know? I don't know, bro.
I don't know.
But well, we're centered around the State House here. We're talking about the White House. But, you know, let's just lighten it up, man. Let's talk about a little bit of Full House.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I mean, Full House, this is when the homeboys like to talk about design trends a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not particularly stylish type of guys, you know? We don't spend all day reading the magazines and thinking about the best, what is this, a rivet? You know, that would go on a couch. You know, I have been buying some stuff lately. Man, we're putting furniture in our second short-term rental, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have money flowing out the ears or whatever. You know, we're not in the deep state, bro.
That's right.
Know?
Yeah.
So we're not part of that. But so it's like, all right, well, let's take this couch that's a fold-out couch out of our basement that has a little bit of dog chew on one of the corners. You know, I'll sew that up. I got a furniture sewing kit right here in my bag. You know, yeah,
You're dead serious?
I'm gonna do this. So we hauled it over there. My assistant helped me, and then I found on Facebook Marketplace the matching love seat.
No.
It matches.
No way.
It's got the same rivets. That's what reminded me of it.
Shut
it's
up.
the same freaking thing, man.
Oh, bro.
So, yeah, anyway, that doesn't have, that's how I knew go buy a lottery ticket. I bought one. I won $4. That's right. Powerball, babies. But what we were going to talk about today was the open floor plan. And how does that make you feel lucky? You know? What do you think? I mean, I like the open floor plan. I don't want it to be so open that I can't scratch my scratchers over in the corner without my wife seeing me while she's sitting in the living room.
Yeah.
You
Or sometimes you just, you gotta let out a little gas. That we don't, why should my transgression way over here by the fireplace be called out from the kitchen?
Now we're cooking with gas. That's right. Whichever place the gas is coming from, right? I get it. Totally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but when we're out there in the field, like when we're looking at new construction, I think it's all open floor plan, isn't it? Like every single new construction that I go into now is a countertop with, it's the island, and then it's out in the middle. There's a little dining room over here. And it's there's no walls. It's like a big breakfast nook. And then over here you got a living room. And that's the whole, and then the bedrooms are off on the side, and then you got the basement. But it's one room. That's the whole new construction thing now.
And guys, these people who are building houses have to build the most popular houses out there. They're just going to sit. They're not building custom homes. They have a few different variations to the floor plan, but obviously the fact that people continue to build these houses must mean that there is some kind of demand, because these builders don't like their money to just be sitting. They want to build the house and sell the house. So they're doing what they say we want. But are they right? Or are they going off of the same data that says that everybody wants gray flooring and gray walls and gray this and gray, are we entering a period where it's no longer a given that a brand new house is going to have an open floor plan?
Well,
and what's the pushback? When do you push back?
I know the buyers want it. They think they want it. You've actually made it. I know that you have remodeled a house and made it an open floor plan before, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah.
Was that your first flip?
Nah,
the blue one, or had you
that was probably our second major flip. I think.
Yeah.
Actually, our third. That was our third.
Okay.
That was after our Manhattan venture. With
Took out the big house. Middle walls. Was there a dining room and a living room and a kitchen in that house?
Yes.
Okay.
And now, and honestly, the granite needed to build the island that went in place of the couple of walls was the biggest single piece of granite that the installers had ever handled in their life. It almost didn't fit through the door.
Wow.
So we went big, and that house definitely went well for us. And that was the house that made me realize maybe we shouldn't just keep selling these houses as soon as we're done with them, because literally a year later, the next person who bought the house sold it again. And made another $20,000 on it, so it's like,
yeah, that was a recurring story around the time that you sold. Because that was like 2018, 2019 or something like that.
2020, 2021.
Yeah. But so you did that because you knew the open floor plan trend was big. When I'm out in the field, people are looking for open floor plan. That's something that they're asking for and I have to tell them, well, I can't build a search on that. We're just going to have to look with our eyes when we see that. But, I have seen, let's talk about the other side a little bit. I've seen some posts. I haven't checked my data, but I've checked my TikTok. Okay. And I've heard some talk about like the open floor plan might be over with. It might be that we didn't really want that. And what is happening now is like your living room is now experiencing the kitchen dirtiness, because we cook in there and the dishes are there and there's crumbs in there. And then now it's all one room. So now the living room, when you're frying your bacon or whatever, and the grease is getting up in the air, well, that little bit of grease is creeping over into your living room and, getting on. It's not separated by walls anymore.
Come on.
So is that a real thing? Like, is the smells? I mean, I don't know that the smells ever stay in the kitchen when you cook. They probably do to some degree. But now with open floor plan, they're just everywhere.
They're emanating all throughout the house. And, if you're a good cook, that's good.
Yeah.
But, what I'm thinking is that if I had a house that was only 1,200 square feet, You know, I don't know. It's almost like the smaller the house, the more that the open floor plan kind of, you know, it encages you a little bit, you know, because especially if you got kids, you know,
you're all in the same room the whole time.
There ain't no playroom unless you just have another bedroom that you can, you know, have for that. But
that's what we want, though. We all want to be in the same room, right? That's what we're saying. I think you do probably to some age, or to, you know, maybe at a certain point. You know what? You definitely need some separation at some point.
Well, let's think about
the ability to,
and let's think about society. You know, we are in the age of the iPhone, of the iPod. That means it's about me. We live in a world now where 4 different people can be in a room and entertaining themselves 4 different damn ways, okay?
Yeah.
No, everybody's not gathering around to watch Wheel of Fortune like maybe they did back in the days. And I think that's part of the reason why the open floor plan may not fit everybody's actual lifestyle. Maybe you really do need a true office that has its own door that can shut instead of just the corner of this open floor plan where you have your office set up.
Yeah.
Because you can't even, and God forbid if anybody else is living in the house, you can't even focus on what you're trying to focus on.
Ironically, open floor plan may be raising the level of inner chaos or turmoil to the point where people actually fall back to their room. Or fall out of the main living area.
What are we hearing about kids these days? They don't want to come out there. They don't want to be seen by everybody that happens to be passing through. And so that it may have the opposite effect.
It might be behaving like many other things do in our world, where we go one way where there's just a bunch of rooms, a bunch of small rooms, and that's kind of extreme because that's how you had to build. Mm-hmm. And then the backlash is, let's go the total opposite way and let's do no rooms, you know? Yeah. So let's do none. Oh, well, it turns out that doesn't work either. And in the end, we meet in the middle and we come back to like, I think the ultimate floor plan, in my opinion, is like you have a living room, you have a kitchen, and then you have the hearth room too. Like that's what you've got, the open kitchen to where everybody can come chill in the hearth room while you're making dinner and stuff like that. But then you can also separate and go out to that other room that doesn't have anything to dinner or anything to do with dinner and anything to do with kitchen and chores. And the dirty dishes can stay there if they have to until tomorrow. And you're not sitting on your couch looking at your pile of Thanksgiving
being haunted
stuff, you know,
by your own stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, okay. I think
we solved
it.
Hearth room. Go for the house with the hearth room.
Chip and Joanne don't know absolutely everything. Live your life.
All right. Well, we have a house party section where we try to share a little bit of a funny story. I'll keep mine brief, and mine is just titled "Freak in the Sheets." You know, my wife bought me something. She bought. She did, wow. And it's black and silver and plastic, and it's a cup, guys. It's this. It says "freak in the sheets" on it because I like spreadsheets. Man.
Yes, he does.
And you know, it's funny because that's actually part of the reason that she likes me. She likes the fact that I like spreadsheets. So I've got this cup.
Nerds. You have a chance. Yeah, that's right.
Woo!
Don't hide that app when she comes around. Leave it on the screen.
Sometimes she used to walk up behind me in my office and I would put the spreadsheet up. And then I'd be like, look at this, babe. Check out what I did with this formula. And then on this tab.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason this is funny is because I haven't been using this cup. And you know the industry has changed to where we're doing a buyer appointment now. You know, like they need to come in and sit with us. And I was meeting with a couple and they weren't very talkative. You know, I might say that they're a little timid, you know. Okay. They're not married yet, but they were buying a house together, had been together for a while. And we did our buyer presentation. I went through all the forms and I was like, let me go make some copies, you know. And I did that and I came back and then I bid them adieu, you know. And then when I looked down, there's my cup right there on the table, and it says "freak in the sheets." And I'm just thinking, wow, this whole time, like, hopefully they think it's funny. Or, you know, I'm getting ready to go out and walk through houses with them and take them into bedrooms and talk about how to live in your house. And I have a cup that says that. You know, I mean, that's okay. Yeah.
So that was there the whole time, and they didn't say nothing.
They didn't say anything. I don't know.
Man, I'd fire those clients.
Would you say so? What would you say? Hey,
this
Luke,
is the best thing I've ever seen.
Are you a freak in the sheets?
It's the best thing I've ever seen, and I'm so glad we're working together. That's what that deserves.
Hey, Luke, is that about spreadsheets?
It says the Excel logo on there.
What if they don't know that that's Excel?
Then get out of my office and find yourself another agent.
What if they think it's like, geez, single X movies?
Oh, God.
X-rated movies. What if they think it's like green ribbon for X-rated movies? Or money, green for money. Oh, man, see what I'm saying? And that looks like a window.
He's never selling them a house, guys.
Oh, I'm fired.
Yeah,
I just got fired.
He is the voyeur.
That's what happens when you're a freak in the.
That's all right.
Just a freak in general.
Yeah, Mama did that to you.
Oh, okay, man. You guys are fed up. Neil's fed up. He's ready to leave. He wants to know what's going on for the home run that can just send him home. What is it? Oh, the home runs. Oh, it is on here. Okay. What do you think, man? What do you want to hear more about? Producer Neil?
Yeah. Or who just said an abject lie on here that we need to cover up before
Call
our
us
lawyers,
out, bro.
Yeah, before our lawyers cancel this entire series.
I'm still trying to recover from that last.
The X-rated. This is a bad cut, man. Thanks, babe.
That was a reach. All right, so interest rates. Let's circle back to that.
Oh, let's do it.
So Chris threw out that there were historic highs, which isn't.
It's not. What do you?
What we're at right now is not a historic high. It's
Maybe not in the. You're right.
But I want to start talk about. So you said buyers that have experienced interest rates that we had that were in the 2s and 3s aren't letting go of those houses and moving up at this point.
Unless everything is
perfect. We don't know
perfect.
that we'll ever see 2s or 3s again. Are those buyers going to stay put in that house forever and not be able to get over that middle hump? Or what type of...
Some of them, there's a couple of personality types that will.
True.
I mean, we've had grandparents... I mean, we gotta think if we're going to talk about the word historic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that said, you know what? I ain't upgrading.
But would those people stay anyway? Those are just stayers anyway, right?
Think so?
Yeah, I think if you're a mover, like at some point you're just gonna be like, this is dumb, you know? I don't care how cheap it is. We need to move, babe. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They'll always come up with an excuse to justify, either upgrading or making a switch.
Man.
So I don't know, I think those buyers that actually want to buy but are just trying to do the responsible Dave Ramsey thing, the house is going to have to be perfect. That's just what I'm experiencing. And that's why the amount of houses right now, between 300 and 375,000 in Washburn Rural, one of our premier districts and in home areas. How many houses do you think are available to buy just in that $75,000 blip of a rent?
5.
Make it 15.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not.
I went extreme.
That's not. That ain't been normal for a while. Mm-hmm. Especially in a particular area. And if I was to aggregate all the school district, there'd be a lot of choices in that price range right now. Which means, and it doesn't mean that none of them are selling. The absolute, everybody believes it's a deal, and the house is buttoned up to the T with the latest trends and doesn't have carpet. It's going to sell still. But if it ain't perfect, it's going to languish, and it just seems like we're adding more inventory faster than we're subtracting.
And when I say 5, maybe I say 5 because that's all my buyers would consider looking at, because of the 15, maybe the 15 are ones that have some kind of a big problem, or they need a lot of TLC or tender loving care,
Well, and then let's be honest, as agents, we're part of the problem too. When somebody that we just met says that they're excited about a house that's been on the market for 200 days, it don't matter how good we're already in our head saying you're not going to like it. There's a smell, there's a something.
I shouldn't even be saying what I just said, Actually, it's doing them an injustice because we need to just go out there and see that stuff.
Absolutely.
And it really does do good for them anyway, for them to still see it so they can understand what the rest of the inventory is out there. They need to, sometimes you got to feel it, you got to feel what the smell is, you got to feel what you got to touch the wallpaper. You know
right.
what I'm saying? I mean,
And we've got some really good photographers in our area. And there's a reason why they get paid what they get paid, because sometimes you get there and you go, wow, this is not like I thought it would be.
Another idea, I feel like there will be more people that just keep the house. Like I'll be telling them, hey, man, why don't you just keep it? Because that rate is so great, and just you become an investor and rent a house out and go buy, like again, yeah, you're never going to get 2% or 3% again, but you don't have to give it up. You can still go buy another house.
Yeah. We can tap into the equity that you have in this house without selling it. We use that equity for an awesome down payment on your next house with the interest rate that is a little higher than you wanted. But you've got the equity, you've got the buying power, so we can still make something work.
Tap into the equity. You can't refinance. You can't take that house that you own and go to the bank and say, hey, redo my loan. But you can go and get a home equity line of credit or a line of credit while you live there. It's easier while you live there. And then take that equity, like you said, that you tapped into and go buy another house. So you can get the cash out of that house and still take it to a new house.
Absolutely. And now you're leaving with some cash flow. It could be as little as a few $100s a month, or if you hit a home run and the house is awesome and people really want to live in that neighborhood, you could be making several hundreds of dollars a month on that passive income, paying some of your bills to make it even easier for you to enjoy that new house that you otherwise would have said, maybe not now.
And do you have to cash flow? We'll talk about this another day. That whole time somebody is making that payment for you on that house and you owe less and less and less on it and have more equity. I don't know if you have to cash flow.
Hey, that's right.
Were you raising your hand, Mr. Schober?
No, because I could keep this conversation going.
Yeah, okay.
Could debate you on some of that.
I can't wait for this. We're gonna have three mics. We're gonna have a very special episode. It's time for him to get around here and let everybody know what he's really been thinking about.
Seriously, nobody's ever seen him.
Yeah,
the infamous. He's wearing all black. He's part of the deep state. I'm just gonna sabotage him right now. Like he has no chance in this debate.
Oh,
we need to schedule this out weeks and weeks. Should we just come back to him next time there's an election? No. I say we just take a hiatus until the next time we need to debate the presidential candidates. What do you think?
Oh, God.
We'll just do it next Wednesday. We'll do it next Wednesday, guys. We want to thank you.
Very special episode.
For coming to see us. It'll be November at that time. And it'll be
one day after the election. So, yeah, we might look a little wild. Hopefully, we'll have a winner by then.
I probably will. I'm not even. Yeah, we probably won't.
We may have.
I plan on being so confused that day. I scheduled a therapy session that afternoon. So, all right. Well, you guys are here and you are hanging
with the homeboys.
Like, share, subscribe, and comment. We like that too.
That's right. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Peace.